some people know exactly what they want to do with their life? They have it all mapped out and then they do it. And then there are the others, they train a certain way and for some reason find their lives going down a completely different path. Today's guest is one of those people, the second group. Nicola Irvine was educated in New Zealand. As an accountant, she spent over 2 decades working in Asia. But when her son contracted bacterial meningitis, leaving him with many lifelong challenges, Nicola's life took on a whole new purpose and direction. After studying many techniques and teachings, she now sees her experiences as priceless gifts, making a difference for not only herself and her son, but of others. Nicola now shares her message of hope as a speaker, author, and mentor. Hello and welcome to Dr. Joe's Health and Sanity Call. I'm Dr. Joe, a wellness expert and professional speaker who helps busy people stay healthy, sane, and productive. For more information of how I can help you and your organization, visit drjoe.com, drjo.com. So welcome, Nicola.
I am just so honored and privileged to be here with you today, Joe.
I'm sorry we couldn't do this live. I've enjoyed meeting you. Nicola does live in New Zealand, but she also is spending some time now in Jacksonville, Florida, because her husband is stationed here, right?
That's right. We've been here 3 years and we've got another year to go.
Yeah, and unfortunately the pandemic is keeping us apart, but I did want to share your message because after we had lunch together, a couple of months back, maybe 6 months back, I just realized you had a message for me and for many people like me. See, and Nicola, you said that you can identify with this as well. I am a doer. In fact, when this pandemic hit, I did a puzzle for like 3 days and kind of hunkered down and said, what am I gonna do? All my speaking engagements are canceled. I've got to do something. And I launched this podcast because I'm a doer. I have to do. And I'm always there to make sure I'm doing what I need to do. But you know what? You said you also are like that. But what's the problem of being a doer? Because I'm guessing you and I are not alone.
Well, I've been a doer all my life, really. It's just, as soon as something happens, I look to create another path. Just get up and get on with it. That's what I've done. And, you mentioned about my son, Thomas, and when he got bacterial meningitis and the doctors said, you know what, there's no real hope here. And I just thought, no way, no way. So I went on doing and I searched and looked and practiced and tried, and I look back just in my mind's eye there, and the appointments, I had 3 or 4 appointments each day. This poor child, 9 months old, being carted here, there, because I wanted my boy back. I wanted my young baby back. And I've done that for years and years until universe gives me some wake-up calls. And I'm a bit stubborn, like a lot of us.
Yeah, and I think that for those of us that are doers, the ones that just find ourselves in a situation, maybe we're grieving over the loss of someone, or maybe, loss of a job or a change in relationships, whatever it is, we will not give ourselves permission to mope, because that's what we think about it. I'm not going to waste any time. And we just charge forth with whatever it is that we think we need to do. But you mentioned this can really weigh on us, and I can certainly relate to that. I love the way you talked about it being your emotional backpack.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just so full, I would just get up. I would not feel what I was feeling. And you're right, you hit the nail on the head there, Joe. It's, I wouldn't allow myself to grieve because I just had to fix him. I had to move forward. I had to get my baby back. And that pattern was true for me for so many years. So
for those people who find themselves in that situation where they say, all these emotions are really weighing on me. And maybe you've been told by other people just to sit with your emotions, but like, we don't know how to do with it. I've been told that. And it's like, how do I do that? I have this feeling that it's going to just bring me down. And I think to myself, I don't want to bring myself down, but it isn't about bringing yourself down, right? It's about moving past.
Yeah, totally. It really is. And you know what? It's taken me years to really perfect this simple practice. And what it is we actually have to learn to stop and be still. Now, what I mean by be still is your body as well as your mind. Now, the best way, the simplest way to do that is actually to breathe. And it's like we can breathe in and remember to breathe out. And in that moment, to allow ourselves or give ourselves permission, because often we don't give ourselves permission to feel what's there. And the quicker we do that for ourselves, the quicker that emotion will pass through. Yeah. We don't have to create a story. We don't have to create a story why it's happening. It just is.
I love when you say that, Nicola, because sometimes we want to say to ourselves, let's psychoanalyze. Why am I feeling that way? And so because we're doers, right? And we think we need to, put it in a little bucket and give it some meaning, I guess. But you're saying we don't even have to give it meaning. We don't have to try to figure out why we're feeling a certain way, right? I love that.
I totally agree. In this moment, we just need to feel that emotion. And before we know it, it's gone. It's not ending up in the backpack. Now, there is, we do have a backpack we've stored for years and years, and we do have to go through a process to I guess, untangle those emotions. But I'm talking about an emotion that's arising just right here, right now, whether it be anger, sadness, grief, whatever, just to allow it. Give yourself permission to have it. And in truth, those emotions should pass relatively quickly, assuming we don't get this mind involved, like you said, analyzing. And I'm so guilty of that.
So let's talk about, first of all, the stop part. Because does that mean I need to sit in a chair and to stop? I mean, how do I stop?
For me, it's been ridiculous. I thought I was stopping when I was going for a walk because I didn't have anything in my mind, I thought. And it's just like, oh my goodness. So I have actually had to sit. Whether you be still on the couch or on the bed or whatever, I've had to be perfectly still in my body. Now, this is my experience. Some people might be able to do that more. This pattern was so ingrained in me that I needed to just sit.
And you know what? After you talked to me about this, I was thinking how uncomfortable I find that. Now, I can go through yoga practice and do it with a group and all that kind of stuff. But if I have a certain emotion that I'm feeling and I sit, I have a tendency, and I'm guessing I'm not alone, I'm just sitting there and it feels like such a waste of time, right? So you're picking up your phone thinking, what kind of emails have come through, right? Or what do I need to research? Okay, so how do you make yourself sit, and how long do you sit for?
You know what, it just depends on yourself, but you will know when that emotion no longer has a hold on you. There's a way internally you will know. And for me, it's avoiding all the phone, all the thought processes. So coming back to breathing, just breathing in. I love to do breathing in for 4, have a little pause, and then out for 6. And it just lowers your cortisol, your stress hormones, and just in that cycle. And you're focusing, your mind's focusing on your breath, your body's stilling. And that emotion can be quite strong. that you just need to allow, you just really need to sit until it passes. And sometimes, you know what, it can come in waves. So you may feel, okay, it's finished. Okay, move forward, get on with that text message, that email. And when it comes again, sit again. And I tell you what, I did this during lockdown in a big way. And the gift for me to access the peace within has been remarkable.
Yeah, you said that you could have gone, you were in New Zealand at that time.
Yes.
when the virus hit, and you could have gone to Jacksonville with your husband, but you elected to stay home there in New Zealand for, what did you say, 7 weeks?
7 weeks where I had to be by myself. And yeah, it was an interesting choice that I made. And it was for me, because it was time. It was time for me to stop the run. Always running, always moving. And you know what? I laugh at myself because the first few days I couldn't stop cleaning, couldn't stop cooking, I had to get out for the walk. And then I just sat there laughing at myself. Because
So that was the doer coming out in you.
it was.
Right?
And then I realized I needed to stop. And so I went through layers, or waves, probably more correctly, of different emotion that I had been running from.
And you know what, this brought up an interesting story I heard years and years ago about a woman who, basically we were talking about this, because this isn't the first time I've heard this message, but this is like a time where I guess you kind of hit me over the head and I'm like, okay, now I got to pay attention. But we were talking about this in one of my stress management classes about how, you know, this one woman was saying, but I cannot address it right now. I have a position, a job in which I can't afford to break down. I can't afford to just sit and feel the emotions. So she would tell herself, whenever the emotions percolated up throughout the day, she would say, I can cry at 5. I can cry at 5. And you know what I mean? She basically put that on her calendar, that 5 o'clock is the time where she can sit and feel it. And she said that the more she practiced that, the better she got at kind of, yeah, she's still stuffing it during the day, but let's face it, some of us, we have to do at certain times, and we've got to not be a basket case, you know, during certain times, but to give yourself that permission. So I thought that was kind of cool. She put it in her schedule and said, okay, I'm gonna feel my emotions at 5 o'clock. I like that, right?
I like it, yeah.
5 o'clock in the morning, maybe first thing before everybody's awake, or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, to just feel it and let it pass. And I also love the breathing. I hear this so often about breathe in, hold it, and exhale for 6. I hear that, but I have to interject for those people who can't do it. I can't do that. Even when I go to yoga, and I've been practicing yoga for well over a decade, I really hate all the breathing, you know, through the nose. I don't like somebody telling me when to breathe and when to exhale. So I do a simple exercise that a yoga teacher taught us. It's a Tai Chi move, but for some reason it resonates with me. So let me just kind of share it. It's basically standing with your arms by your side, resting, and you basically inhale and raise your arms up, your hands up, so your elbows are out. And then when you get around chest high, you turn your hands around so the palms are facing down. And then you exhale as you lower it. And what I found about it is it's connecting your body and your breath at the same time. So if you want to slow down your breathing, all you do is slow down your hands, and then your breathing slows down with it. And even though I'm doing it manually, I find that if I'm laying in bed and I'm getting myself all worked up and I need to go to sleep, I will actually do that in my mind. So I'm imagining my hands going up and imagining them going down. And for some reason that works for me. So I just want to share that, because that's what I share with audiences as well. Yes, there's lots of breathing exercises, but don't feel like you have to do any one of those. Find something to help you, as you mentioned, Nicola, to breathe in, and more importantly, to release it.
Yes. Oh, so yeah, so much, because we can inhale so much in our life, and if we don't breathe out, oof.
Okay, so I've got a question for you, because many of us have been dealt a different life than we planned, right? We have high hopes of maybe our career, for our children, for a financial or health or whatever, and then something happens out of our control, like what happened to you. And many of us experiencing that during the pandemic. We had a really good job and maybe we've been furloughed or at least something has changed, our hours are cut, and we've had to adjust now to a different thing. Maybe our kids are at home, we're having to teach and we're not sure what to do for the next year. I mean, we found ourselves in a different life. How do you accept these different things as priceless gifts? That's a hard one. So how have you done it? And what can you share for the rest of us on how to view these, maybe what we think is tragic things, as priceless gifts?
That goes really deep into the core of me. Yeah, how can you celebrate the fact that your son got meningitis? How can you do that? How can you celebrate the fact that you got divorced? You lost your job, you lost the career you thought you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
For me, what I was always doing is I was resisting what was. There was a way I thought somehow I had control of it all.
So you were trying to change what was essentially unchangeable.
Totally. And as soon as I came to that place where Thomas is perfect just the way he is, and it's not just as a concept, but right here in my heart. And so whatever that be for you, maybe you'd been thinking about changing your job and you didn't have the courage to change it because it was actually quite comfortable and whatever, but actually it gives you an opportunity to do what you really, your real heart's desire. Or maybe you're really wanting to spend more time with the children and this has created that opportunity. So, I really ask you to connect with your heart. So for me, with Thomas, when I accepted him for who he was, and I could see the moments where we shared these simple things, like because Thomas had hemiplegia, or still does, the fact that when he could try and give me a two-armed hug, the moment when he could get out of bed because he wasn't walking, when he could get out of bed and come, mummy, mummy. Wow. You take all those simple things and that's when I see and have gratitude for those simple things. My yoga teacher in New Zealand, actually my first yoga teacher in New Zealand said to me, would you change anything about Thomas having meningitis? You know what? Hand on heart, no. Not that I would ever desire anyone to have it. But what brings me peace is I know that at a deep level, this is the path that was chosen for him, or he chose himself, whatever your belief system may be. Mm-hmm. And I'm just honored to be on this path with him because he's opened my eyes to so many things. He's awakened me in so many ways.
Yeah, you said you guys communicate oftentimes through pictures. Tell me about that.
Well, Thomas is virtually non-verbal, and he, what we realized probably about 8 or 9 years ago is that he loved using blue tack and cards. Now, initially it was just a pack of playing cards, that you play snap or poker or whatever. But then a dear friend said, well, why don't we try them with oracle cards or affirmation cards? Let's see what he does with those. And what he started to do was to put we took photos of the family and different emotions, and he started putting these things together. And oh my gosh, I've got goosebumps just running down my legs at the moment because they're so meaningful. So when he puts my photo with a card, it's like, oh wow, how does he know what's going on? And so this is the gift. This is a young man who's almost 23. He's got his own little internet business, and he doesn't speak, and he's got lifelong challenges. And you know, if you want to assess him intellectually, he's probably off the scale, but he won't, for, you know, an IQ test, he wouldn't test. So that's where I can say the priceless gift. Yeah. And he's opened me to a way of life that, and I guess the experience of self, finding myself again, that is beyond.
Well, Nicola, now that you have started a new career in which, well, I guess you've been doing it for a while, speaking and mentoring and writing. Tell people how they can keep in touch with you.
Well, just recently I relaunched my website, and it's nicolairvine.com, and you can reach out there. You can call me. There's an email. You can email me and we can have a conversation. So whether you want someone to support you, I'm in the midst of my third and fourth book. They're in process, or you would like me to speak and share about my experiences. And
now I see you on social media. What channel do you like the best?
I'm starting to tap into LinkedIn, but you know, base is probably, I'm starting also YouTube. But I've been on Facebook for years.
Yeah, I mean, I see your videos on Facebook, I think.
Yes.
But
I'm moving towards more LinkedIn and YouTube.
Okay, well, that's good. So just type in your name, Nicola Irvine, and they'll find you there?
Excellent. Yeah, NicolaIrvine.com. Yes, so we're there. Yeah, so thank you.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your message of hope with each and every one of us. I know we all need it. And I look forward to hopefully having a meal with you soon in person.
Me too.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.